Quick video this time, but I just had to put this video out because we have seen these photos before the actual unveiling of the new phenomenon from Lamborghini. The Lamborghini Phenomeno. What a name that is. And honestly, I think this is, I don't know, is this better looking than the Revuelto? I think it might be, specifically in the side view. I was never really a fan of the Revuelto side view. I'm going to show you why. We're going to compare it here in just a minute. But we need to check out the spec in tech for this because it's pretty ridiculous. From this article from drive.com.au, Australian site, I do believe. So Lamborghini Phenomeno revealed fastest Lambo ever is V12 limited edition. The Phenomeno plug-in hybrid is limited to only 29 examples. That's a shame because it's such a good-looking machine and is the fastest production car in the brand's history, with pricing starting at about $5.4 million Australian, which I do believe is about 4 million US. The Phenomeno is derived, of course, from the Revuelto, Lamborghini's first plug-in hybrid, which launched in 2023 and forms part of the brand's few-off collection. The Phenomeno is priced from approximately £3 million, as we talked about, and is limited to 29 cars. That's it. They got to build one for themselves. It's probably going to be in the Lambo Museum in Italy, of course. They always put one in the collection there. So though the customer allocations is already mostly exhausted, meaning that pretty much, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is already sold out to dedicated buyers and collectors of Lamborghini that they built over time. So capable of accelerating from 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds, 1/10 quicker than the Revuelto, towards a maximum speed of 350 kilometers per hour. It is thanks to a 621 kilowatt version of the Revuelto's natural aspirated 6.5 liter V12. The total output with the 3 electric motors, 2 in the front and 1 above the gearbox, combined output 794 kilowatts, which I do believe is 1,062 horsepower. Crazy numbers. So added power boost is courtesy of the revised valve train in the V12 engine, as well as a larger 7 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery. Claimed driving range of 20 kilometers in electric range, but Lamborghini, they don't care about that. The only reason they're adding electric motors, as the CEO of Lamborghini says here, is to prioritize how electric power can maximize the hybrid car's overall performance, not the electric range. You can drive this completely quiet for 20 kilometers, but that's not the point of having electric motors in this one or any Lamborghini. So rather than striving for the longest electric only driving range, you got 21-inch wheels in the front, 22s in the back, staggered setup, which I don't mind in this case. I do mind it on every single BMW because it looks weird. Here, it does not look weird. It actually looks pretty natural. They say you're more aggressive in its styling than the Revuelto. I do not agree with that. I think this is a much more dialed down design than the Revuelto. It feels more elegant in some ways. Features 2 large air intakes on the bonnet, on the hood, derived from the Huracan GT3 race car, with its silhouette is inspired by the long tail of the Lamborghini Essenza from 2020. The Phenomeno's new door design, you have this door right here. This is a beautiful, absolutely stunning line right here, and how he breaks into this two-tone design. Just a beautiful, beautiful side view. They say that this door design brings a lot more efficient airflow into the V12. 30% more efficient, to be precise, with this new door design. The new car design, revised power and emphasis on aerodynamics as well as performance were, of course, a priority. I mean, obviously, it is a Lamborghini. Those are the priorities we want to have. With that said, let's jump into Photoshop here. Let's have a look at this design. Because this, to me, I can't recall what car this reminds me of. But here we have the design. What is missing here, though, is one key component in Lamborghini's design DNA. These lines right here, as you see on the sides, these are we usually have a line that goes like this. So from the down low, we have more of a wider stance in the lower base of these lines, going up to the windshield. In this way, we have it on pretty much every single Lamborghini since the, I do believe, maybe the Diablo. I can't really remember where it started. But here we don't have it. But at the same time, looking at this, comparing this to the Revuelto, I think this is a much more dialed down design, much more subtle design, and as I said, elegant as well. Love the intakes that we have in the lower section. This looks absolutely beautiful, very robotic, like we want to have in a Lamborghini, of course. And you can see we have two parallel lines. That's it. No crazy wings sticking up like this. Or right here, we do have some fins in this area right here. But other than that, it's a very subtle design. I do like the headlight design as well, even though I do wish we had more pronounced or more interesting looking daytime run lights than these. It's just one single bar here on the side. Then you have the main headlight right there. But the overall graphics in the front end, clearly Lamborghini. You can see it more here from a 3/4 front view. Just how beautifully sculpted this is. And it doesn't feel over-stylized. There's a lot going on, as with every single Lamborghini. A lot going on with these small details. But when you look at the entire package, a Lamborghini never feels like they're over-styled cars. Maybe they do. I mean, if you talk about Sesto Elemento, for example, that feels maybe a little bit over-stylized. But for the production versions, they usually have a lot going on with a lot of angles, but everything flows together so beautifully. I also like this little bridge that we have in the middle between these air vents up here. I do believe the air flows out right here, potentially. Flowing in the front end and then creating this entire piece being an integrated wing in the body for the front end. Now look at the side view. By far my favorite view for this vehicle. I wanted to throw in the Revuelto because I want to show you exactly why I think this is a much more beautiful design. First of all, the line flow of this. Look at this. We have one line going here, continuing up over the rear axle, creating a muscle. And then also in this case that we don't have in the Revuelto, we have a send-off in the rear end. And I do love how this is now two-tone, creating a very, very interesting looking design. And you can see this intake in this area. This always looked a little static to me. The reason being, if we draw a line right here, we have a zigzag design. So we have the graphic stretching out in this direction just as much almost as it sticks out in this direction. So it feels like a balanced graphic. It doesn't have a direction to it, if that makes sense. We also have this line here, this line sticking out, and then of course continuing into the greenhouse. So this area of the Revuelto felt a little bit too static for me with this zigzag design, and that is the main reason why we have this now much more dynamic looking design. I kind of wish the Revuelto had this design instead for the doors, because I think it's a much more elegant, much more dynamic and beautiful looking design. Now the overall profile, as you can see, we still have the one single line from the very front end of the car dipping down all the way back, and thankfully in this case we do have a bit of a send-off in the rear. 22s in the back, 21s in the front. Not sure what I think about these wheels though. I would much rather have a lot more aggressive looking wheels, maybe wide spoke design, something like this for this vehicle. This is a new interpretation of a Lamborghini wheel. I haven't really seen this type of styling before, but the lower piece with the black piece, everything being 100% exposed carbon fiber, looking stunning. We have the wings in the front end coming back right behind the front axle, and then we have this black piece. So this feels like one of these cars that you have the top portion of the vehicle being the organic part, the 50% of the top half right here, and then you have the lower half being the mechanical, the functional part that sucks this car to the ground. And I don't know about you, let me know which one you prefer between these two. I 100% prefer the new Phenomeno when it comes to the side view, and also when it comes to the rear. This rear end looks totally insane to me. We don't have any sort of body color in the rear. Everything is 100% functionality in the rear. You can see just this shell of the organic piece. It's almost like an exoskeleton design when you have this organic piece wrapping around this beast that sits underneath, that is the black surfaces and materials that we have in the lower section. Look at the exhaust pipe. So this could be interpreted as one single absolutely massive exhaust pipe right here, but as you can see, we have four small pipes right there in the middle. What a car. This looks, to me, it looks cleaner than the Revuelto. I definitely prefer pretty much everything about this design over the Revuelto, even in the rear end. The only thing that I would like to change, maybe I do prefer the front end of the Revuelto over this one, because that feels like it has much more interesting looking daytime run lights with a Y shape very aggressively. But here you can see just how much is carved out of this portion here, so we get to appreciate the width of the rear tire down there on the ground, and very, very aggressive diffuser here as well with fully carbon fiber. Of course, you have the Phenomeno right there as well. Now, last but not least, this interior to me looks beautiful. It looks very, very cool, and it has pretty much everything I'm looking for in an interior. We don't have the physical buttons, of course. We do still have the screen in the middle, which is totally fine. But this, how you have the I think it's like ambient lighting red inside of these air vents here, looking very, very aggressive, and it feels like you're inside of a spaceship when you're jumping into this. You have the Alcantara here, of course. You have the passenger display here as well, and the housing for the gauge cluster, looking beautiful. Pretty much everything that I personally want to see in an interior from Lamborghini. So this car to me is something that I wish we had more elements from this in the Revuelto, but this means that probably the next generation, maybe they will make it a little bit more organic looking and not so robotic for the future of Lamborghini. Very interesting design, and hopefully, I don't know, but I can always hope that I get to see one of these in real life at some point.